everyone. Welcome back to the final Fireside chat of the day. For those of you who are not here at the entry, my name is Sarah Lubik, and I'm the Executive Director of the Charles Chang Institute for Entrepreneurship, which is particularly awesome because in a moment I get to speak with Charles Chang, the namesake of it all. Before Charles gets here, I have the esteemed privilege of talking to you a little bit about entrepreneurial mindset, which is one of the pieces that's so important to the Yale program and one of the reasons why SFU collaborates so closely with Yale. So for those of you who didn't hear, for Yale students interested in going to SFU, your Yale class actually counts toward the Charles Chang Certificate in Innovation and Entrepreneurship, no matter who you are. So if you're coming to SFU, remember to tell us that because you deserve credit where credit is due, and we are giving you credit quite literally. So we're very excited about that. No other university in Canada does it. And we are also very excited to be talking to Yale and talking to other programs like Power Play, which is like Yale, but for elementary school kids, about the entrepreneurial mindset. And the entrepreneurial mindset is the real reason that we teach entrepreneurship. Because ventures are nice, but at the end of the day, what we really want is to be happier, more resilient people. And the entrepreneurial mindset is thinking like those entrepreneurs, no matter what you want to do with it. And entrepreneurial mindset, because we've done research on it, this is why you go to university, is a really cool concept because it's made up of resilience, which is when you get knocked down, can you get back up? About self-efficacy, so taking charge of your own future and feeling confident to do that. And that helps with that resilience piece, because if you feel like you're confident to take on anything, then it doesn't matter what the world throws at you because you know you'll get through. And you know that at the end of the day, it's your actions that are going to make positive change in the world. Another piece that's really cool about entrepreneurial mindset that I know you're practicing in Yale, because I will get to see you at Venture Challenge, is opportunity recognition. So figuring out how you can really help people with the things that you're doing, rather than what we often see when we look at venture entrepreneurs, which is, I wanted to build a thing, so I built a thing. Instead, opportunity recognition is about, there's a need for what I want to do in the world. There's a problem that I want to solve. And in a lot of ways, that comes back to that resilience and that happiness, because knowing that you can take this mindset and create the change you want to see in the world can make you a happier person, because you can see positive change happening, even if it's in little increments. And the last piece is about vision or imagination. Being able to imagine a better world, being able to see things in a way that other people don't. So being able to see how systems could work, how a complex future could unfold. And all of those things together make the entrepreneurial mindset, which makes you a much happier person, much more successful, much more resilient person. And those lead to entrepreneurial outcomes. Those entrepreneurial outcomes could be starting a company. If it does, great. If it doesn't, whatever. And that is all underpinned by community, which is what we have here today, which was perfect timing because Charles is here now. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to Charles Chang.
Is it working?
So, it is working. We are live.
All right. Sorry about that, you guys. There's a bit of an echo here. Is that me?
I can't hear an echo.
Okay.
So do you mind if I give you a little intro and then we'll get started on the fireside chat?
You betcha. Apologies, guys. Technical difficulties.
It's the world we live in now. So Charles, I'm so excited to talk to you because Charles is one of my favorite people in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. We do all kinds of fun things together and impactful things together. Charles was the founder and president of VEGA, which he started from scratch in his basement in 2004. Financed by his life savings, a second mortgage on his house, and credit cards, Charles led VEGA to become a leading brand in clean, plant-based nutritional products in North America, which was sold for $550 million US in 2015. Since then, Charles has helped establish the Charles Chang Institute for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which we just talked about, which is SFU's home for entrepreneurial mindset. And Charles is the president and founder of Lyra Growth Partners, a private equity firm investing in health and wellness companies at venture and growth stage. And we talked earlier about entrepreneurial mindset and the importance of vision. And Charles is very much a visionary in growing companies, in how he supports the ecosystem. And as we talked when we were preparing for this panel, about how seemingly unconnected parts of a journey can come together to make it that much more full. And so we're going to go on a very quick journey from Charles, the early years, to superpowers that you may or may not have known you had, through to your hopes for the crowd that's gathered here today. So welcome, Charles. Let's talk a little bit about Charles' the early years.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'll start with, I barely made it through high school. I had like a C+ average. I was skipping out all the time. And I actually thought that I should go and become something useful, like my parents said. So, okay, I'm going to be a marine biologist, and I'm going to go to UBC, and I'm going to be Jacques Cousteau. First university, I failed out of there. In fact, I failed physics, chemistry, and math, and was sent packing and was really demoralized. Then I went to Langara College and ended up taking a whole bunch of arts classes and actually did okay. And so that brought me to SFU. Thank you, SFU. And took a chance on me because they don't usually take UBC rejects. But I joined the business faculty at SFU, and over the next few years got my degree. I did co-op, and I never actually went to school full-time at SFU because I always had to work part-time, which I think actually helped me a lot. I did waitering jobs, I did telemarketing jobs, I did manual labor jobs, whatever it took to kind of make ends meet while I went to school part-time and also worked part-time. And I graduated in '95, and I basically could not get a job. So I decided to be a fishing vagabond instead. And I was on UI, and I went fishing every day for 9 months, literally completely irresponsible. And my girlfriend at the time, who's also an SFU alum, was really tired of my sort of negligence here. So she was applying for jobs everywhere for me. And I actually ended up somehow getting a job at Great Little Box Company, selling cardboard boxes. So imagine I graduated from university, I wanted to be this marketer, I'm marketing cardboard boxes, and you'd think, oh my gosh, this is gonna be a waste of time, right? But no, I learned a ton there, because I learned that if you can differentiate something like boxes, well, then you can differentiate anything. But I'll just segue a little bit. I was actually at Great Little Box Company for only a few months when I had this opportunity to be a professional fishing guide up in Rivers Inlet, which is like the home of the biggest salmon in the world, and a lifelong dream of mine to go up there. So I actually quit and left there and went to be a fishing guide up north for 5 months, and learned a ton there too, because I learned to deal with people of all kinds, and sharing a boat with people, you have to show them a good time, whether you like them or not, whether the fish are biting or not. And then after that, actually I got my job back at Great Little Box Company and worked there for 5-6 years, where I learned to do things like buy companies for Great Little Box Company. I opened up new divisions, created sales teams, and just had a chance to really get immersed in small business. And that led to the creation of my current of VEGA, because I studied all the different businesses that we were selling boxes to and found that, wow, this natural health industry was really hopping. And I thought, let me do something there. And that's what I did. I started with one product in the natural health space, and then grew that into VEGA. And then from there, just kept on going. And so my journey isn't really linear. It's kind of all over the place, but nothing I did was a waste of time. And I think that's a really good message to share, is you don't really have to know what you're doing early on. You just have to go do stuff. And if you can get good at doing stuff, and it doesn't matter what that stuff is, whatever it is, if you get good at it, the skills that it takes to get good at those things are likely going to be beneficial to you in whatever else you choose, because it's helping you build a mindset. It's helping you build competencies that are far more useful than just experience directly in your field, in my opinion, because you're going to have many careers and lots of paths to go on. So that's my short journey. And again, it's not, I don't recommend it to anyone else, but I think that it's always relevant.
I think that is actually incredibly relevant, because the panel we had earlier on getting ready for university, we talked about co-op and nonlinear journeys and taking time for yourself and figuring stuff out and following your passions. So I think this is a really good example of all of those things. Now, I'm watching the chat box, so if anyone has questions for Charles, I'm more than happy to ask them, but I have a lot of my own as well. So while we're waiting for those questions, I'm going to ask another one, which is going to be about superpowers, because you talked about your journey and finding out new things. But one of the things that you've said to me in the past is the superpower that most people would give you credit for around this like business superpower isn't the superpower that you think is the most important. And the superpower you think is most important is actually one of the components of the entrepreneurial mindset. So you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think that actually belief in oneself and sort of having these I guess the mindset of an entrepreneur is actually what I think is my biggest asset. And I think that it could be a really great asset for anybody. And I know you've been talking about this in your teaching, Sarah, we do at the Institute, but it's really about knowing that you can handle any situation that comes your way because you can go through a process. You can believe in yourself. You don't have to have done it before. You don't have to have studied it before. You can, if you know how to connect to the right people, if you believe in yourself, if you're willing to accept the uncertainty, if you're willing to take constructive criticism from people. I think those types of things, that just being able to look at something and say, I can figure that out, that's actually super, super important, because whatever you choose to do, and again, you're going to have many careers. Young people today have so many opportunities, but that's actually makes it a little bit harder too, right? Because you have to kind of be good at everything. Well, not really. I think you just have to be really good at these core competencies that make an entrepreneur, these mindset characteristics. I think then you can adapt to anything that comes your way.
Speaking of adapting to anything that comes your way, after you finished VEGA, after you sold VEGA, you went and started other things that seeded this entrepreneurial mindset. So how did you go from the business side of it to wanting to be part of all of the support network and wanting to start as early as elementary school?
Yeah, so as soon as after I sold VEGA, I thought, okay, I always said that when I come into a good amount of money, I wanted to actually do something really special for SFU, because I really felt that I owed SFU so much for helping me, become who I was, for meeting my wife, for so many great things. And so creating the Institute was there to make all these programs available, which I'm so proud of. But very quickly I realized, after speaking to lots of students and being more involved in the ecosystem, that we really needed to start younger, because children, really like middle-aged children, are where they start to really form their mindset. And so the earlier we start, the better. And that's sort of how I got involved through actually a link from SFU. Actually ended up working with a company called PowerPlay and actually helped them become a nonprofit and then become a charity. And so now PowerPlay as a charity now operates in British Columbia and across a few cities in Canada, and actually touch tens of thousands of children in middle-aged public schools and teach them about the power of an entrepreneurial mindset, not to create more entrepreneurs, but to actually make them or help them be more equipped to handle anything that comes their way, as their journey is going to be long and non-linear, hopefully also, right? So
that is fantastic. And so for those of you who are watching that are going to be joining us at SFU, we work closely with PowerPlay. And so there are opportunities to volunteer with that next generation to give back. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about this entrepreneurial community, is so often you do want to give back, because especially to the people who've helped you. So I have a question from the audience, which is, hi, Charles, how did you navigate uncertainty? And what did it teach you about yourself? And how did that indicate the way in which you led VEGA?
Great questions. I think the first thing about navigating uncertainty is accepting it. Accepting and expecting that that you're not going to have all the answers, and that you needn't wait until you have certainty to do something. We always talk about fast failing and iteration. So a lot of times it's get something done to the best of your abilities, do it quickly, and then use what you learn from that to iterate along the way. So I would say that we developed a lot of really great things at VEGA, including amazing products, amazing teams and people. It wasn't because we had done it before necessarily, or that we're really smart or great at these things. It's because we just kept applying that process of trying things, learning about what worked, what didn't, doubling down on the things that worked best, and just kind of keep on trying and never being satisfied with where you're at. So even if you think you're the best employer, never be satisfied. Keep trying to figure out how you can be better at that. And that journey of continuous improvement over a long period of time is actually how a lot of great things happen. It isn't from some spark or magic silver bullet. It's just applied process. It's like a scientist narrowing down into a cure. They're just trying and trying and trying, and then finally at the end, they sort of get there. And I think but then you never really get there, because then you find a better way. So
I think that's so important to remember. And that's something that we try to model at the Institute as well with this. If you're going to be disrupted, it should probably be by you.
By you.
So, exactly. So we have time for one more question from the audience. I have one of myself as well, though, which is, given this was all about being successful, this day was all about being successful and community, what is a tip that you would give the students here today about interacting with the community and making those connections? Because I know that I would say that's another superpower of yours, is connecting with people.
Yeah, I think always having an open mind and really believing that you can learn from everybody and everyone can learn from each other. Like doing what I do today, I'm coaching about 18 different entrepreneurs in the businesses that we've invested in. I learn probably more from those young entrepreneurs who are in their 20s and 30s than I give to them. I truly believe that. And I think that with that mindset of we can learn from everyone and anyone, and being able to interact and ask questions, I think that that's something that people can do more of. I always judge sort of the quality of someone in terms of their business ability or whatever it may be by the quality of the questions that they ask. So don't be afraid to ask. Never, like I love asking dumb questions because there's always 20 other people who are afraid to ask that dumb question who also want to know that answer. So don't feel you have to know the answers. Don't feel you have to be perfect. That's actually something I really wanted to talk about with your young children who graduate from high school, going to university. You are 1,000 times more prepared than I was at your age, and that most of my peers would have been at your age. You've grown up in a world that's changed so fast, that's so full of information, where you've had the most input from all the different parties, from your parents to friends to teachers. So you have it all. But with that, makes it, I think, a lot tougher because the expectations on you by others, by yourselves, is just so high and so hard, so hard. And I really feel for you guys because though you're the most equipped, smartest, fastest, most access to information, it's a tall order. And so don't beat yourself up or feel you need to be perfect. Don't feel like you need to know all the answers right now. You don't. There's a long life ahead of you. You're going to have many careers. Most of us, of the people I know who've done really well, went through very nonlinear journeys, making lots of mistakes, trying different things, and then over a period of time sort of honed into kind of what they were really good at, what they really wanted to do. And then success just comes from doing what you love, and it's natural. And people say, and I would say, like, don't go chasing dollars. Like, dollars come because you're doing something great that you love, that you're naturally good at, where you're connecting with other people that you resonate with. That's going to happen on its own. Chasing dollars for the sake of dollars, I think, is really hard, because if you end up doing something you don't love for that reason, then I think that it'll go away anyways. You won't be fulfilled. So try lots of different things. Nothing you do is a waste of time. Like, I love if something, I actually had a question from a recent college student in second year who's in biomedical engineering at a really great university. And she's asking me, should I try and get an intern job this summer and work in my field? I said, no. Can you be a camp counselor? Can you be a waitress? Can you do something that's actually, we're going to learn these great life skills, because you have a whole life ahead of you to work in your field. Don't think you have to do it so early. And she was like relieved, because she wanted to be a camp counselor and work outside with children, which would develop amazing leadership skills that I think would be much more applicable than, let's say, doing office admin work in an engineering firm that really, even though the company might be in her field, the work likely won't be anyways as an intern. So I guess my whole point is, you get lots of time, you're not in a rush, learn to love learning from others and in different ways. And all these things will be additive for you in getting to where you want to go.
I think that was the perfect note to end on, because we are, in this case, actually out of time. But that actually answered one of the questions that we had around what is the advice you would give to students and teachers. And so that leaving on that note of learn to love learning and don't worry about finding your path is so critical. And then tap into that community, of which you've had amazing examples today. And Charles, thank you so much for joining us and for all that you do for the entrepreneurial community. Really appreciate you having you here. Very
welcome. Apologies I was late, guys. Sorry about that again.
That's all right. We got quality time. That's what really matters. So thank you guys so much. It was great to be here for Yale Community Day, and we will see you next time.